Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening. It was a night of wild weather in southern Saskatchewan. A tornado touched down in a field north of Glenbane. Storm chaser Sean Scofer captured this video. Even though the funnel cloud doesn't visibly connect, Environment Canada confirms it is a tornado. That's because of circulation on the ground. As of this morning, the weather agency has not received reports of damage. In central Saskatchewan, ping-pong-sized hail was reported, and Major and Moose Jaw also got the size of golf balls. The cost to build the new Lloydminster Fire Hall No. 1 is increasing. City Council has approved an over $1 million increase to the project's budget. Jace Mackey has more on why the extra cash was needed.
In March of this year, City Council accepted the original cost of work to build the new Fire Hall No. 1 at just over $7.1 million. Now, just 5 months later, City Council approved an increase in the budget, leaving the new cost to build the hall at just over $8.4 million.
There's various shortages around the world. CCANs are in short supply. We are a global economy. A lot of things move. COVID has had drastic effects that no one thought about, that supply chain would all of a sudden be tightened up dramatically. So we're seeing that affect us.
City administration cited many reasons for the cost increase, including the pandemic's impact on the global supply chain and increased demand and hoarding of overseas materials. The low amount of local vendor submissions also added to the higher cost.
We've tried to ensure that dollars are spent locally, but those dollars are the best dollars being spent locally. And if they're not, from the perspective, people have to remember we are in charge of the public purses. It's referred to the taxation money that comes in. So we want to ensure that we're getting the best value for the dollar.
In 2019, it was determined that the current Fire Hall No. 1, originally built in the 1940s, was at the end of its life and needed to be replaced. But since the pandemic hit, provinces and the federal government have spent a lot on infrastructure projects as a way to stimulate the economy. With all these new projects, the already high cost of materials continues to rise. Mayor Albers says all these factors caught up with the city.
People are building facilities like fire halls. They're building new recreation facilities, new libraries. We're very fortunate. Our library is almost complete. Thank goodness we got past that one. But in this case, the fire hall, it had an effect.
The contractor has already found close to $140,000 in cost savings on the project and will continue to look for ways to save money. City administration is confident that there will not be another need to increase the budget. Mayor Albers defends the way the city decided to approach this project, adding it's not a want, it's a need.
We could have been in the same position potentially as the city police station the RCMP detachment went through a few years ago. Had we awarded it as a single source contract or through that to one builder, and that builder couldn't maintain the levels, they could have gone broke, and then we'd be dealing with a surety and all sorts of challenges. So I would rather be upfront with the taxpayers and say this is what's going on, but as it was indicated, this isn't going to cost the taxpayers more money. We found grant money that we can use.
The city is expecting to put $400,000 back into reserves after they sell the land of the existing fire hall. For Primetime Local News, I'm Jace Mackey.
The Lloydminster exhibition have announced a new leader, and it is one residents will be very familiar with. Jackie Tomer will be the new GM of the Lloydminster exhibition, effective immediately, having served as the marketing manager and most recently assistant GM. In a news release, Tomer says she's thrilled to be offered the position and looking to grow and evolve with the staff and board on our united goals. With September approaching quickly, a number of fall programs currently have registrations underway and are looking forward to a return to normal. Core Dynamics Pilates and Dance Lloydminster has been open for close to 15 years, and they have been offering a wide range of dance classes, yoga, and Pilates to the community. Last year presented new challenges to the studio in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Last year we had to dance in squares. We couldn't use tactile cueing for students, which a lot of them learn better by. It was all verbal cueing. And we had a couple kids that came in yesterday with their parents, and just to get to hug them was that's what I missed the most. So it's, just getting back to normal.
New this year is a day camp for preschool-aged kids, and 2 new teachers will be joining their team. Last season, the studio held a traditional recital for their kids, and they are looking forward to organizing a similar type of event.
The kids, all they wanted was to dance in their full groups with their parents in the audience, and we were able to provide that. So thankful that we stuck it out and we got to do that. But we are looking at some more performance opportunities for our dancers this year. Instead of just the traditional competition and recital, we want them on stage more and doing more things. So we've got some tricks up our sleeves this year for our dancers.
Johnston is hoping to get more kids and families involved with the studio, so they are hosting an open house next Monday and Tuesday for kids aged 3 to 7 to try out their many dance classes.
I just know what dance has done for me, like as far as building confidence, building work ethic, learning that it's a journey. It's not all about a prize at the end of it. You need to fall in love with the actual journey of it. And just like long-term development programs. I think a lot of parents want to put their children in activities that are going to build their confidence, and dance is great for that.
Registration for the 2021-22 dance season is currently open and is available online or by phoning the studio. Now Connor Chan will take a first look at your forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Yes, we finally got a little bit of sun through parts of the afternoon as we're starting to get a little bit of more warm air. We definitely saw, a little bit of rain as well, and that cool air still hanging around. And then, of course, as we saw at the top of the show, those funnel clouds in parts of southern Saskatchewan as they were hit pretty hard with some of those heavy rain and also some of those crazy cloud coverage that they got there, and that risk of a tornado as well. But luckily for us, we didn't have any of that here, nowhere even close. But looking at temperatures right now, a little bit warmer for today, like I said, 14 for us here, Lloydminster, 16 out in Vermilion, Vegreville, 15 up in the Bonnyville, St. Paul area as well, with 16 in Cold Lake. 15 also we see in North Battleford, with 14 for Macklin, Maidstone, and St. Walburg. So pretty consistent numbers that we're seeing here today. As we take a look to the satellite radar map right now, we are still going to see a little bit of cloud coverage kind of hovering around, but in terms of the precipitation, a lot of that's moving around eastbound, east of Saskatoon, and sticking around parts of southern Saskatchewan, as we are expected to have a little bit more rain and a little bit of heavier rain on Friday is what our expected day to get some of those showers back. But for right now, for the next 2 days, it'll be a little bit calmer, and we're going to start to warm up, and we're going to start to get some more warm air into the mix here, as we have been feeling a little bit chillier the last couple of days. 3 degrees overnight in North Battleford, with 18 tomorrow for the daytime high. And then looking into Cold Lake, 5 degrees overnight with some cloud coverage, and then 21 expected for them tomorrow. So it is definitely going to warm up quite a bit in the immediate Lakeland areas. 5 overnight for us here in Lloydminster, with 19 degrees for tomorrow, with some sun and a few clouds as well. So we will probably have a little bit more sun in our forecast for tomorrow. And as we look ahead to the next 3 days, could see some rain starting even possibly as early as Thursday, then carrying over into Friday. We are expected to have at least a weekend filled with some rain. It just depends on which day. Things could change as the systems start to change throughout the days or so, but either Thursday or Friday, we are expected a little bit more rain, even some thunder showers expected for that Thursday as well. That is a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
A feed shortage caused by this summer's drought means that producers are having to find alternative ways to keep their animals fed. Jillian Code has more on what farmers should know.
Pasture grazing is nothing new for livestock, but this year's historic drought has drastically reduced the amount of forage available, meaning that livestock have a higher chance of ingesting toxins.
So we're going to see cattle grazing closer to the ground, which might see more soil-borne diseases. This includes things like blackleg, we might see more of this year. Other things we may see is more hardwares disease. Our cattle are eating closer to the ground, meaning they're going to pick up things that they wouldn't normally pick up, like nails and metal pieces that can actually lodge in the stomach and cause problems as well.
With a shortage of options, cattle may opt for plants that they would typically avoid, including plants that are poisonous.
Normally these plants are really unpalatable, but as we are running low on feed, we may see cattle actually eating these plants and resulting in secondary complications from that.
Hay from sloughs, chaff, and straw can all be used as supplements for feed, but Dr. Mikulik recommends that farmers check with a nutritionist if they have concerns.
You know, our feed is nowhere near as good quality as it's been in previous years, so we definitely want to make sure we have adequate vitamins and minerals for our cattle. If we can supplement vitamins, A, D, and E in particular are our main vitamins that'll really help boost that immune system and fight off any toxins that they may be exposed to, or really help that immune system fight those off.
If producers are adjusting their animals' feed, Dr. Mikulik recommends making gradual changes so that the animal's rumen has time to adjust as well. Jillian Code, Primetime Local News.
Now we'll take a look at your egg prices. Lloydminster's Mr. Baseball, along with 11 others, are the Saskatchewan Baseball's Hall of Fame newest inductees. After 18 years as the president of the Lloydminster Minor Ball, Kevin Cush got the call. Cush was notified of his acceptance over a year ago, but due to COVID-19, had to wait for the induction. In Cush's time with the Lloydminster Minor Ball Association, the UAT Northwest Prairie Pirates were formed, upgrades were made to diamonds around the city, and he led the development of the Synergy Vault.
It's my name on it, but it really is so many good people, and the community of Lloydminster who've been huge supporters of the ball programs of Lloydminster here, which is fantastic. So even though I guess it's my name on the recognition, it's really a lot of good people who have contributed over the years.
As a coach, Cush won 6 provincial titles, 5 in a row, won a Western Championship, and made the National Championship twice. In 2018, Cush was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Sask Baseball Hall of Fame.
And so that's what we really try to instill in the kids is don't worry about making mistakes. Be in the game, be present, be ready, do your preparation, do all that hard work ahead of time. Whatever happens, happens. It's no different than life. You can prepare all you want, and if you're prepared to do your best and to be the best version of yourself, I think that's not cheating yourself at all.
In 2000, Lloydminster had 27 minor teams. 18 years later, when Cush stepped down as president, Lloydminster had over 300. The Paralympics are underway in Tokyo. Canada will be well represented at the Games, and so will Alberta. The women's sitting volleyball team has a number of players and coaches from Edmonton and surrounding communities. Global Slav Kornick reports.
Heidi Peters is living a dream. Again. For the second time, the native of the small Alberta hamlet of Nerlandia is representing Canada at the Paralympics.
I'm just so proud of all the work that we've done. Like we've earned the ability to be that confident in ourselves, and we just every single day are just pushing ourselves to be better.
At the age of 16, Peters developed bone cancer. The disease forced the amputation of her left leg below the knee. Growing up playing volleyball, she was determined to stay involved in the sport. She was introduced to sitting volleyball and soon joined the national team. She's now been a member for 8 years, and the experience has been life-changing.
For me, it was just like a sense of family and security, and like you get to do life with women who have gone through similar things as you. There are girls on our team who had cancer and amputations and similar as me. It's high, but it's not here.
Peters has developed a close relationship with assistant coaches Chelsea Hobbs and Kate Rosendahl. Like Peters, the two coaches live in Edmonton. Hobbs and Rosendahl have been with the team since finishing their post-secondary volleyball careers at MacEwan University, and they say the opportunity has been one of the most rewarding of their lives.
I really love the relationship building piece, and I really love seeing athletes succeed when you've been working on a goal for a really long time and then they're able to put that into practice.
It's really rewarding seeing the hard work that the girls have given into practices, paying off on the court.
The team finished 7th at the Rio Paralympics in 2016. In Tokyo, they have their sights set on bringing home some hardware.
We have that expectation of ourselves, so we definitely feel the pressure, and it's exciting.
The team will begin their journey towards a podium finish August 27th against Brazil. Slav Kornick, Global Sports.
Now Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, that cool air starting to move out further east into areas like Manitoba, where we're starting to see a little bit of thunder showers in those areas, and then seeing lots of low pressure dropping down to the southern parts of Canada there, as well as into the U.S. as well for parts of Manitoba. But for right now, it's still pretty mild as we're in those high teens once again. As we look into Edmonton out west, 18 in Edson and Edmonton, 17 degrees in Red Deer and Rocky Mountain House, along with Whitecourt. A little bit cooler in parts in Saskatoon, as you can see, 14 degrees in Saskatoon, 11 degrees for Melfort, 13 in Prince Albert, and 15 right now for North Battleford, as well as 16 up in Meadow Lake. Taking a look to the northern areas as well, still pretty consistent in those mid to high teens as well, 14 in La Ronge, Flin Flon, and in South End, 17 in the La Loche and Buffalo Narrows areas as well, with Stony Rapids sitting at 19 right now. A little bit warmer as we go up to northern Alberta, a little bit in the 20s right now, with Grand Prairie sitting at 21 degrees, 20 for Slave Lake and Peace River, and then Fort Chipewyan and High Level both sitting at 21 degrees. Looking down to southern Alberta and Saskatchewan right now, still in those mid temperatures there, as we're seeing a little bit of cloud coverage kind of hovering around and a little bit of sun as well. 17 for Lethbridge, 16 for Medicine Hat and Calgary, with 17 also in Banff. And then as we look over to southern Saskatchewan right now, Swift Current and Kindersley, one of the cooler spots at 12 and 13 degrees, and we see some mid-range temperatures further down on the QE2 on the highway there from Regina to Moose Jaw there. So 16 for Moose Jaw and 17 in Regina, 22 degrees in Estevan as well. As we look ahead to the national temperature, as I mentioned, is getting a little bit cooler in Winnipeg. Lots of cloud coverage, chances of thunder showers out there. 30 still help play a part in Toronto with 32, and the rest of Ontario also seeing very warm temperatures. 30 degrees in Quebec City, 20 for St. John's, and 25 for Halifax as well. Looking at Vancouver, 22 degrees with a little bit of sun and cloud mixes there. And Edmonton, of course, with some cloud coverage right now with that high of 18 degrees. We are going to warm up tomorrow for this upcoming Wednesday here. 19 is what we are expecting, and we're expecting a little bit more sun as well, as we did see little bits and pieces of it into the afternoon as well. So looking ahead to Vermilion at 20 degrees tomorrow, 22 for Wainwright and Provost, 19 up in Marwayne with 21 in St. Paul, Bonnyville, and Cold Lake as well. 19 degrees for Maidstone as well, with 18 tomorrow for North Battleford, as we are going to see things start to clear up a little bit more before Thursday, Friday, where we are expecting some showers to come back into the mix here. And here's a look at the next 7 days. As I mentioned, Thursday could see some thunder showers, could see that also for Friday as well. 19 degrees for Saturday. Could start to see things warm up a little bit more there for that Saturday, Sunday areas, as well as on Monday with 22 and 21 degrees, and 19 on the Monday. And then things will start to cool down a little bit more on Tuesday when we get to close to near the end of the month, as we're getting ready for September as well, with 14 degrees on that Tuesday. 22 is usually the average for the month of August for the high, and then 10 is the low. So we're still not quite back to our normal averages for this time of year yet, but we'll get back up to it probably later into that week. That is a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Welcome back, everybody. We're joined once again with Becca Lawrence from the Lloydminster Community SPCA, back for another pet project, and we have a very special guest. We've chatted about him, a little bit on the show before, but here he is in the flesh, in the scales. Anyways,
the scales, yeah.
let's introduce him, Becca.
Yeah, so this handsome man here is Ember. So he is our 4-year-old bearded dragon that we have here at the shelter. So he came in just for some unforeseen circumstances with his previous owner. But so yeah, now he's in our care. And while his time frame here, we found out he had a little spout of tail rot. So he did have to get an amputation. So his stitches will come out here in the next couple of days. But yeah, other than that, he's been doing really good. He is an adventurous fella, so he's trying to escape me now. But no, he's really good. He's been well behaved with us, so he's been handled a lot, and so he's basically just ready for his new forever home now.
That's wonderful. And bearded dragons do make such great pets. Like, I know my brother had one for the longest time, and they're very sweet little reptiles, And as far as correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as reptiles go, they seem to be a little bit easier to care for than some of the, particular breeds, so to speak.
Yeah, no, he's like you said, he's a laid back guy. He doesn't really do too much. The cage he's currently in is a bit too small for him, so we would like him to go to something quite a bit larger, or even the chance to be able to run around the house on the carpet just so he can stretch his legs out a bit and just live his best scaly little life.
Well, that's great. So if anybody out there is in the market, Ember, you can see he's a little sweetheart and he needs a nice home.
Yeah.
So, maybe stop on by, make an appointment so that you can come in and meet him and, get introduced officially. Beautiful. Well, how are you doing for other animals, Becca? I know we had the big, the big adoption week with the cats, and you guys got lots out the door. How are things looking right now as far as cat and dog numbers go in the SPCA?
Yeah, so I mean, as anticipated, we were building up our numbers in our kitties again. And so we're getting pretty full on our cats again. And actually, our dog numbers have influxed as well. So we are quite full on our dog numbers too. So that's something that we're working on right now. So we've had a few come in from the surrounding communities kind of thing. So we're currently full. So I mean, right now, like we have been calling off our waiting list for our dogs and our cats too. So we have received a few of them too. But yeah, so as of right now, we're going to be putting them up on the floor for viewing here soon as well. So if you're in the market for any kind of breed of dog, then be sure to come check us out.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Obviously, there's a huge selection at the SPCA right now. It's kind of unfortunate that, you guys always seem to end up getting full again, but that just, a new opportunity for, new pet owners to come in and really get their pick of the litter, so to speak. And while we're on the topic, with you guys being full and stuff, is there any physical item donations that you guys need? With the big influx of cats, do you guys need some kitty food or kitty litter? What's the hot topic this week?
Yeah, I would say for sure, like our wood pellet litter that we get from Rona, we go through that quite quickly because we give it out to our fosters as well. But any clay litter like that, the non-clumping cat litter too, that we definitely go through. Even puppy food, we're tending to get a few more puppies in right now, so puppy food is a great one, and kitten food as well, wet and dry, we can use. But yeah, other than that, those are our main things that we are in need of right now.
And obviously, if anybody wants to write the SPCA a check or, drop off some cash, that is always appreciated too. Wonderful. Well, I know we just got over one event, Becca, but just real quick, is there anything on the horizon in the coming months that you guys are planning? Anything you want to put a bug out in the community about?
I mean, as of right now, like we're just on the finishing cusps of our ice cream fundraiser. So I believe we have about one more week of that, just in time for that cooler weather to show up. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, so far right now, we don't have anything planned at the moment, but obviously that is something that we are always thinking about.
There you go. So if anybody out there wants to get ice cream, get it now, get it for a good cause. Well, that's unfortunately all the time we have for this week, but I want to thank you, Becca, for stopping by. I want to thank Ember for taking time. I know he is resting and healing his tail there, so thank you for stopping by and saying hi, and we'll speak with you guys again next week.
Yes, for sure. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
I'm joined here once again for Primetime Local News with Tyler McMurtry with SGI. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be here.
Now, the July traffic spotlight results are in now for drivers. What does SGI think about the results for this month?
Well, we saw a number of drivers speeding through construction zones, and we don't want to see that at all. We saw 68 drivers either speeding through construction zones or past highway crews or equipment with its lights flashing. And of course, as we've discussed before, those are the most expensive type of speeding tickets. So it's something that drivers don't want to get. And it's also something that, more importantly, it presents a safety hazard for the folks who are working to fix our roadway infrastructure. We really want to keep those folks safe.
And could you list what kind of speeding tickets were issued in July?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was tickets for going through a occupied highway zone or a highway work zone, which with that has either workers or equipment with lights flashing. There's also a separate offense for, even if it's not a designated work zone, if you're going past a piece of equipment with the lights flashing. And that really goes for any type of roadside vehicle that you might see, whether it's a tow truck, a police vehicle, a fire truck, or an ambulance, or any construction equipment with its lights flashing. Whatever it is, if you see it flashing, you want to slow to 60 on a highway just to prevent one of those very expensive speeding tickets.
And now, were there distracted or impaired driving offenses in July?
Absolutely, and we report on these every single month, of course, and we'd like to report zero, but that's never the case. For speeding offenses, we saw nearly 7,500 speeding offenses reported in Saskatchewan by police. We saw 819 distracted driving tickets, and that includes 691 cell phone use tickets. Saw 591 people for ticketed for not wearing a seatbelt or not having a child restrained properly, which, again, we've talked about this before, Shelby. That seems ridiculously high given the evidence of how seatbelts keep everyone safe on the road. And of course, we did see impaired driving offenses as well. 467 impaired driving offenses, and that included 340 criminal code charges.
And you were saying earlier about work zones. How were the offenses through construction in most areas, especially now in the summer?
Well, so what we saw was not a huge number of tickets written by police, and those are the numbers we report every month with the Traffic Safety Spotlight. It was 68 speeding tickets, as well as 3 tickets for not obeying the directions of a flag person, which is a $150 fine. But the important thing to remember is it's not just police out there on the roads that are enforcing construction speed zones. There's also photo speed enforcement that takes place in many highway work zones as well across Saskatchewan. And we actually see the vast majority of tickets written by them. Now, we don't have results for that yet, but we can expect there will be hundreds of drivers getting tickets in the mail in the coming weeks as a result of that photo speed enforcement. And what we want people to bear in mind, especially given the fact that construction season is not over, you're still going to encounter orange zones wherever you travel in the province of Saskatchewan and elsewhere in Western Canada, that it's really important to slow down. The penalties are more severe, but more importantly, the consequences are more severe when you are talking about a potential collision in a work zone. Those workers really have nothing to protect them other than paint and plastic. You know, those pylons, those don't do much to keep those workers safe. It's up to all of us as drivers to do what we can, slow down, obey the direction of signage and flag persons, and just get through that work zone safely, and everybody can get home at the end of the day.
And compared to last year, how would you say drivers did in July for this year? Were there more offenses or less?
Well, there were less tickets written by police, so that's a good sign. We hope that when the numbers come in for photo speed enforcement tickets, which we don't have, that we'll also see fewer offenses there. It's really important. We'd like to see zero examples of people speeding through work zones. Now, there was a very well viewed video of a very egregious example, and you can find it linked on in our news release, and you can find it on our Facebook page as well, of somebody speeding and weaving through a construction zone. It was captured on video by the folks working there. Very dangerous situation, and it actually ended up resulting in a collision involving a number of vehicles several kilometers down. But this was a driver who was speeding at a very high rate of speed, well in excess of even the regular speed limit, not to mention the 60 kilometer per hour orange zone limit, and coming within feet of hitting workers, weaving in and out of lanes, nearly hitting oncoming traffic. Really, that's an egregious example, but we know that there were hundreds others of people who probably sped through work zones when they didn't need to. All you have to do, slow down to that 60 kilometer per hour limit, or whatever the signage tells you to slow down to, and you'll get through there a little slower than you normally would, but it's a few minutes extra that you can take to ensure that the folks who are working to keep our roadways in drivable condition, that they get home safe to their families at the end of the day.
And is there anything else you want to add for people to know about just considering the traffic spotlight?
I think we've covered it. This month, we are, of course, focusing on rural roads. So if your travels take you on any of those gravel roads, just watch out for farm equipment. It's harvest time, of course. Watch out for other vehicles, understanding that on gravel roads, which are a really important piece of the roadway infrastructure here in Saskatchewan and elsewhere in Western Canada, that they do present different driving challenges when it comes to traction, different kinds of terrain that you'll be dealing with, uncontrolled intersections, that sort of thing. So keep in mind as well, if you're heading off the highway onto those gravel roads, that you need to take care.
Perfect. Thanks again so much for joining us today, Tyler.
Thanks, Shelby.
All right, taking one last look here at your 7-day forecast. 19 degrees for tomorrow. We're going to start to warm up a little bit more. We could start to see some rain and thunder showers coming in for Thursday, Friday, though. And then as we look ahead to Saturday, still at 19 degrees. So we'll still be getting back to around that high teens to low 20s for Sunday and Monday as well. And then as we get to Tuesday, we'll start to cool things off a little bit more there as our averages will start to go down a little bit as we are nearing the end of August as we look to Tuesday with that daytime high there of 14 degrees.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a good night.